thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Daniel Momo, a political analyst and a regular on our show. Good morning, Daniel, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
And on to the story. Speaker Martins Amehule-led House of Assembly in Rivers State has again accused Governor Siminalayi Fubara of having the penchant to disobey court judgments and constitutional provisions. The lawmakers also vowed to make Fubara's appointees and permanent secretaries aiding him to circumvent the law have their dates with the law. The lawmakers made the resolutions during their 65th sitting on Monday at the legislative quarters located along the popular Aba Road. The lawmakers applauded the judgment of Justice J.O. Abdul Malik stopping government from withdrawing from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the state until the 2024 appropriation bill is presented before a properly constituted assembly, describing it as a sound and well considered ruling. The members took their turns to comment the judgment after a copy of it was laid on the floor of the House by the leader of the House, Major Jack. The document was received and adopted as a working document of the House, with some lawmakers describing it as the face of constitutional democracy. The statement explained that the Rivers State House Assembly on 15th July 2024 deliberated and resolved on the continuous refusal of Fubara to present the 2024 Rivers State Appropriation Bill to the House. The lawmakers then took the decision to write to the state governor to shut down on expenditure pursuant to Section 122 of the 1999 Constitution. Enabled by this resolution, the House and Amehule filed an action before the Federal High Court to determine whether Fubara could expend or continue to expend from the consolidated revenue of the state without a valid 2024 appropriation bill by the State House of Assembly. Commenting on the judgment, Amehule said, "Since 1st of July 2024, Governor Fubara has been spending monies of the state without approval, hence the declaration of the shutdown of expenditure. Yet, the governor, in his characteristic manner of disobeying judgments of court, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and extant laws, have continued to circumvent the law with the aid of permanent secretaries and some individuals who parade themselves as commissioners. They will certainly have a date with the law." Amehule thanked members for their steadfastness and urged them to continue in their defense of democracy, adding that those who trample on the country's constitution would be meant to account for their malfeasance. He referred to the decision of the Federal High Court as a landmark judgment, stressing that it was illegal, unlawful, and a subversion of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for Fubara and his appointees to continue to spend from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the state without a valid 2024 appropriation law. On this statement by the Rivers State House of Assembly accusing the governor of disobeying court judgments and the Constitution.
No, he never did.
He didn't disobey court judgments?
No. See, the point is this, and we must understand. First, I am an advocate of good governance,
right.
Which also means that laws should be obeyed by court. But by the time there are judgments, and the simple meaning is, once you appeal a judgment, it then means that you do not agree with what the lower court is saying. It doesn't mean that you are disobeying court order. It will be foolish of His Excellency to reprobate why he had gone to the Court of Appeal and now go back to present that budget. The purpose of going to the upper court is just a simple fact that he does not agree with what the lower court has said. And then to the issue of the fact that they presented the judgment on the floor of the House, that is not the final court. And we must be clear. For me, I had the privilege to be here the day we had that discussion on that judgment from the Federal High Court and what my detailed opinions are on that issue. But I think it is a continuum. It's something continuum. There's no end to it until the Supreme Court makes a final pronunciation. But the fact that we will now begin to tag, like what they said there, you now begin to tag certain persons, his appointees and all of that as a target, for me, it doesn't spell out well. But the other day we had a conversation off camera where I was saying that all of this will have to settle out to be a political issue, a political resolutions had to come in, because all of these court issues will not spell well for the Rivers people. But again, I would not agree with the State House of Assembly saying that the governor has penchant for disobeying court orders. I think he has appealed, which is a common sense thing to do. If he has not appealed, then we will now begin to ask the governor, why would you not obey the last judgment because you have not appealed? The appeal has given him the room, has given him that legal right to say, I have appealed that judgment. Appealing a judgment doesn't mean that you have disobeyed the lower court judgment. And of course, those lower court judgments were not declarative judgments, like judgments that require enforcement, were judgment delivered, not declarative.
Which of the judgment was not declarative?
No, none was declarative. If you had, for example,
instances.
No, let me give you an instance. When you had the issue of Edo State, and the judge at the Federal High Court Abuja said that seat was not vacant, directing the IG to take immediate effect. The Edo State government, if you remember, quickly came out to say they had what was the terminology used now, that they had already gone to the court for stay of execution. Thank you for that. For stay of execution. That's what they have done. This does not warrant a stay of execution, because there is nothing in that judgment that requires declarative. Declarative means that there should be enforcement now. And there's nothing in that judgment that requires from Justice Omotosho to the Court of Appeal.
Justice Omotosho, in the judgment of 22nd January 2024, ordered, in that ruling, in fact, I'm using his statement, he ordered the governor to represent the budget. How declarative can he get?
No, see.
No, hold on.
Okay.
He ordered the governor to represent the budget to Martins Amehule, State House of Assembly. You understand? So when you say, at what point is hold on. Okay. Is the police in this instance going to drag the governor to represent the budget? No.
That's not the issue. If you remember, sense to me. If you remember clearly the recent judgment from the Court of Appeal, that had a strong worded statement to the governor, calling him clearly close to a dictator, regarding the fact that he has not yet, he can't continue to rule a state without a proper recognized legislature. If you remember, the Rivers State government went for stay of execution of that judgment, and they did appeal to the Supreme Court. But my position is that it is difficult to call someone that he has penchant, their word, that he has penchant for disobedience of court order. If he has appealed, what appeal means is that I do not agree with what the court, the lower court has said. I wait for the further courts to make pronouncement. And if the Supreme Court makes its pronouncement,
the question would be, at what point did the governor appeal the judgment of the High Court?
No, if it was late, the Court of Appeal would have said that.
How many months? One of the things the Court of Appeal said, and if you recall in that judgment, the governor was even, the Court of Appeal fined the governor and told the governor to pay a sum of 500,000 naira to each of the respondents. The Court of Appeal went ahead to say that the governor cannot approbate and reprobate. Because if you recall, on 30th November 2023, the governor, or would I say the government of Rivers State, withdrew their counter affidavit from the court. Now, if they withdrew their counter affidavit from the court, the question would be, where is the locus? And that was one of the things the appeal court said. Now, while I am not exactly focused on that, I am looking at the accusation on the governor, you know, that the Rivers State House of Assembly saying that the governor has a penchant for disobeying judgments and constitution. Now, you on one hand said no, that the governor has not disobeyed the judgment, the governor has not disobeyed the constitution. Now, one of the things, let's look at different issues surrounding this. And you also talked about the fact that the commissioners, the House of Assembly coming for the commissioners is wrong and out of place. Now, if I may ask you, Daniel, what constitutes, they have 32 members of Rivers State House of Assembly, correct?
Correct.
What constitutes 1/3 majority?
No, see.
It's a direct question.
No, it's about 11.
About 11.
About 11.
All right. Do you recall the Supreme Court judgment in the case of Joshua Dariye, the former governor of Plateau State?
When he was impeached.
When he was impeached. Do you recall what the Supreme Court said?
No, see.
Let me remind you what the Supreme Court said.
Okay.
The Supreme Court said that when a house of assembly does not constitute the required quorum, there are certain legislatures that requires 1/3. There are certain legislations that requires 2/3. Now, the Supreme Court ruled that when a house does not form the required quorum to legislate on a matter, they cannot legislate. Now, the Supreme Court went ahead to say they can sit, they can gather, they can sit, they can choose, because, I mean, according to the Nigerian Constitution, there is a number of sitting that is required, and there is for every lawmaker. And when a house self does not even sit for those number of times, or are absent for a period of time according to the Constitution, that house is invalid. The Constitution provides that. But in this instance, it will not invalidate the house. The Supreme Court said, sit. However, in matters concerning 1/3 majority, in matters concerning 2/3 majority, as long as that house does not, you know, meet up to that requirement, they cannot legislate. The question would be, this is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you have said Rivers State House of Assembly makes up of 32 seats, right? And in this instance, 1/3 is 11 seats. However, the governor presented a bill to 4 members of the House of Assembly as at the 11 quorum, 1/3 majority that should actually sit and legislate. Now, by implication, are you saying it is okay for 4 constituencies to legislate for an entire Rivers State?
No, I think the context here, the validity or otherwise of Martin Amehule, that is not in contention.
We are looking at the Constitution.
No, I'm building a thought towards what you have raised. Martin Amehule, to me, Daniel Momo, is the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. That is, for me, it's not in contention. From the Federal High Court ruling to the Court of Appeal. But the bone of contention is the budget. As for me.
Not just the budget.
No, I'm coming.
The story says Martin Amehule accused the governor, the Rivers State House of Assembly. Let's not narrow it down to the budget, because there are a lot of constitutional infractions that the Rivers State House of Assembly has accused the governor of. So now, we are not limiting it to the budget, because they talked about the judgments of courts, they talked about the Constitution as well. So I am asking you a question with regards to what is obtainable in Nigerian Constitution, and also premising my question on the judgment of Supreme Court with regards to legislatures sitting and legislating in matters that they did not have a quorum. If you say the judgment of the Supreme Court does not hold water in this instance, I will now ask, why was Joshua Dariye returned? I'm just asking rhetorical question. I'm not saying that you said. Go ahead, because you recall that the Supreme Court returned Joshua Dariye based on that judgment. So go ahead.
Of course, even the man from Ibadan, Oyo State, Rashidi Ladoja, was returned back by the Supreme Court. Those are clearly matters settled in law. And for me, the Speaker of the Rivers State Assembly is Martin Amehuli, me, Daniel Momo, from the judgments that I have seen so far, until another court says otherwise. But my focus here is that if you say the Rivers State government disobeyed court order, and I'm particularly looking at what are the orders that he disobeyed. One, he refused to recognize Martin Amehule as the Speaker of the Rivers State Assembly, and so he doesn't do government business with his led House of Assembly. And I'm saying that on that, because there are other matters in court as to Martin Amehule, whether they have defected or not. And I had the privilege here some time ago where we actually debate on matters of who actually resigned from a political party. And can Martin Amehule be regarded as someone who has withdrawn from the PDP? But I'm saying that the matters relating directly to the governor, that we would say that he disobeyed court order, which pronouncements are still valid for me on my head here, is regarding the elections that was conducted in Rivers State, the local government elections.
The governor did not disobey?
No, he did not disobey, because as at that time, as at that material time, there were courts of coordinate jurisdictions who gave concurrent orders, don't differ. And so the governor is at liberty. No, I'm coming.
Still get
no.
I don't want to.
No. I'm looking at
so penchant. We do not forget.
No. The penchant. No, for me, the penchant.
Daniel, hold on. There are a lot of issues, so I don't want us to jump on them. We are talking about the budget now, the quorum of the House, the governor presenting to an illegal assembly, and
no, they're not illegal.
In your opinion, the appropriation bill presented to Edison Ehe is legal?
As at the time, because there was a court judgment. Remember, at that time, recognizing Edison as the Speaker.
It wasn't a judgment. It wasn't.
It was what?
It was an order of court.
The order of court is what? That lasted for about 7 days, right?
7 days lifetime.
Yes, okay. But at that 7 days, those judgments were valid.
Hold on. Now, let's agree that there was a court judgment authenticating.
No, it is not less. There was a court judgment.
There was an order authenticating Edison Ehe to be the Speaker of the House
at that time.
Hold on. Now, yes, I'm not conceding, but
that was what happened. It's not about conceding.
Daniel, you agitated. Slow down.
No.
Now, hold on. Now, let's say that there is a court order that empowered Edison Ehe to be the Speaker of the House. What does the Constitution say about legislations with respect to quorum?
No, see.
Would you say that's the governor? And let me also
No.
And let me also remind you.
No, for the sake of
hold on. And let me also remind you that the Constitution also provides that in a situation where, let's say, what happened in Rivers State, Edison Ehe now becomes the Speaker and the House is only 4. There has to be an election to make sure that those seats are filled up for a quorum to hold. Now, I will also remind you that the Nigerian Constitution provides that a State House of Assembly will have minimum of 24 members. Minimum of 24 and maximum of 40. So when you look at all these things critically, the question will now be, we have a situation where we have only 4 members of the House as against the minimum. On one hand, we have a situation where we have a House that did not form a quorum according to the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution, and that House went ahead to sit. The argument that it has to be 1/3 of 4 does not hold water, because the Constitution provides the minimum representation in the House. So I will now ask you another question. That Edison Ehe was affirmed by a court order does not, nobody is arguing that. The argument or the question I'm asking now is, did that House form a quorum according to Nigerian Constitution to legislate over Rivers State budget?
No, see, let's not be judgmental about some of these issues.
Right. We are the Constitution, not being judgmental.
Yes, no. I want to make analysis where also the viewers can have. Even though that order lasts for 7 days, every business of government he did was valid. Every business of government he did at that material time was valid. But again, I recognize the judgment of the Federal High Court, which means that the judgment of the Federal High Court came after
and nullified everything.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But at that material time, it is difficult to hold the governor to say that he has committed infractions, because there was a court order recognizing Edison as the speaker. But I would say that whatever that he had done after the judgment of the court of, the judgment of the Federal High Court, I can now begin to look at, okay, Edison was never or has never been speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. That I agree. But I'm saying that once we have this plethora of judgments, can we in all honesty sit back and look at all of the judgments on the table and say that the governor has penchant for disobeying court order? Right. It will be pretty difficult to say that. Why? Because there are some judgments that, like I was trying to say, that led to the election in Rivers State, the local government elections. It was pretty difficult. Because no, it's not about just that.
You really want to get to the local government elections?
No, it's not about the local government elections. I'm saying that if you say a man has penchant for disobeying court order, what it means is that he has an history.
All right, let's
disobeying court orders.
Let's delve into that. We are still on that matter, and you have said that everything Edison Ehe did was valid. And Justice
for that 7 days.
And Justice Omotosho, in his judgment, invalidated everything Edison Ehe did, and ordered the governor to present the budget to Martins Amehule.
And then the governor did what?
The governor did not present that budget
because he appealed the judgment.
Hold on, Daniel.
Yeah.
And the governor did not appeal that judgment at that time.
No.
The governor, you can go and do your background.
No. What I'm saying.
Hold on.
Okay.
The governor did not appeal that judgment at that time. That's on one hand. On the other hand, when the governor withdrew the counter affidavit from the court, he waived his rights over that judgment or the outcome of that matter. It is very important. You also, it's law 101. He waived his right over that matter. Now, there is a judgment that has gone ahead. Even if you do not like the judgment of the court, you must honor it while you appeal it. That is what is obtainable. Let me give you an instance. You are, let's say you are my landlord, I'm your tenant, and we have disagreement. And you decide to throw my things out, and I quickly go to court and I get a judgment barring you from throwing my things out of the house, and also barring you from communicating with me or even demanding payment of rent and all of that. Let's say the judgment, you might feel it is not in your favor, and it was an aberration. for you, and you decide to go to court to appeal that judgment, while you are appealing that judgment, will you interface with me? While you are appealing that judgment and waiting for the judgment of the appeal court, are you going to break the judgment of the lower court? Of course, you know that you abide by the judgment of the lower court while waiting for the appeal court to vacate that judgment or rule against you. That is what is obtainable by law. You cannot vacate me from your house. You cannot throw my things out. You cannot harass me while that judgment subsists. It is a subsisting judgment. It has life. You cannot do anything contrary to that judgment pending when appeal court vacates that judgment, or pending when appeal court still upholds that judgment. And in a situation where the appeal court upholds that judgment, you can now go to a higher court, which is the Supreme Court, which is the court of final judgment, and after that you go to God. Now, in this instance, with this illustration that I've given, would you say the governor has honored and respected court judgment?
Okay. I kept quiet. I wanted to wait, yes, so that you let's take it one after the other. Mm-hmm. The one you said first about the governor for what was that first thing you said? Not honoring whether court judgment or something. Mm-hmm. But my point here is this: the governor, whether you can appeal, once you make an appeal and all of that, there are types of judgment of court. I can go to court and for my fundamental right, a declarative judgment can be given. It's different from an election court. Whether you win from the lower court and all, the man in office cannot vacate until a final judgment is given. And so there are all kinds of judgments.
Which means it's still that it means that when the judgment is given, it's subsisting pending when it's vacated.
No.
Oh,
no.
Some judgments do not subsist.
No, hold on. Look, go ahead. Look, let's even use a common one here in Rivers State. Governor Wike, when he won that election, he lost at the tribunal to the man in the APC. What's his name now? Dakuku. Wike lost, but Wike still remained the governor of Rivers State. He didn't vacate that office because he has appealed that judgment. 2, Wike lost at the court of appeal. Wike didn't vacate office. He was in office operating as the governor of Rivers State. He didn't vacate the office until Supreme Court overturned that judgment in favor of the governor, and the governor remained in office. So I'm saying here that there are kinds of judgments that you cannot tamper with it. Once the man appeals that judgment, or everything remain, status quo remain, everybody hold on until the upper court has given a judgment. So there are kinds of judgments. Now, on the other issue of that you raised, I'm coming. I gave you time. Hold on, please.
Okay. Which law provides that?
Okay.
Judgments.
No, you are breaking my line of thought.
You have your say.
Okay.
However, because you are informing the public.
Okay.
So I want you to back up what you just said with the law. Which law provides that when the court gives judgment and it is appealed, without the decision, without the court setting aside that judgment, the moment, which law says that the moment a judgment is appealed, that judgment ceases to subsist?
No, like,
ending when a higher court gives decision.
My family, for those who will know it, the Momos family had a case in court, land dispute, serious one. Even those who initiated those cases had died. We had judgment in our favor, but they appealed. And we waited until Supreme Court last month gave that judgment in our favor. And then we didn't take anything because the Court of Appeal and the upper court had assumed jurisdiction on that matter. So what it means is that once the governor appealed any judgment, that higher court has assumed jurisdiction, and every other thing, status quo, should remain. And hold on until those court gives final judgment, because there are some basic things that will go wrong. Okay, let's look at it this way. Imagine he has appealed, and then he goes back to give them the budget. What was the essence of the appeal? He had made nonsense of the appeal. That's what I'm saying. Two, on the issue that you said the governor waived his right of appeal, it will not be fair on the governor. And I do not want to feel like I'm speaking, you know me, it's not like I'm speaking for the governor. I think the governor, in all honesty, was ambushed. He even made that public here, where the then Attorney General of the state was on the other side that he brought to government. He said he didn't know that the man was working against the interests of the state, and the man was sacked. But the law does not recognize all of those emotions.
I was coming to that.
And I quite agree. No, but you look at it on those bases too. But I quite agree that the harm has happened. And I said, I was telling you off camera the other time, that I foresee a judgment, even though I do not want to preempt the Supreme Court, because the governor actually has no case there. Because it's not, according to the law, he's not even part of persons who are supposed to appeal those cases. But again, the governor, for me, has not in any way, like what the House portrayed him to look like, that penchant for disobedience of court orders. No, I do not agree.
Right.
Though that's Daniel Momo's opinion, but I do not agree with that, because the man has appealed those judgments. And so once an appeal has been made, status quo remains. Every other thing should hold on.
So now, in your opinion, it is okay for the governor to continue governance of the state with, in this instance now, 3 lawmakers? I mean, there are still 4 lawmakers, because according to the court judgment, Edison Ehe did not resign.
That's what I'm saying.
So now, I will still include Edison Ehe in the Okojombo situation. So now, you're saying that it is okay and lawful for the governor to continue governance of the state with only 4 lawmakers?
No, it will be detrimental to my belief. It's an aberration to whatever I hold dearly, to agree that the governor should continue to do that. But I'm saying that on the issue of the state budget, the governor has appealed that judgment, and
we've passed the state budget.
No, I'm coming. I want to raise something.
If you're saying it's an aberration to what you hold there,
yes,
it's not about you right now, but about the Constitution.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are 2 things. 1, disobedience to court judgments. 2, constitutional infraction. Now, I have brought up this issue from the angle of the judgment, and the issue of the budget from the angle of the judgment. And I have brought it up from the angle of what is obtainable in the law, right? Now, also moving forward, I've also brought up the issue of, for example, governance. With what quorum exactly? With what quorum?
In the eyes of the governor and his team and his legal team, Martin Amehule do not exist.
Okay. In
his own eyes, they do not exist. His belief is that they have decamped from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress.
His belief is that
they have lost their seat to his own, and is entitled to hold that view.
And govern the state according to his view?
No, he's entitled to hold that because he has appealed that judgment. If he has not appealed that judgment, I will be the first person to carry placard and ask him to go back to Amehule and present that budget.
May I ask you a question, Daniel? May I ask you a question? Yeah? What gave the governor the authority to be the governor of Rivers State?
The people. The people's election.
We are not.
The people's vote.
We are not even looking at the people's vote and the people's election.
No,
hold on,
that's the primary.
Daniel, that's very controversial. We are not going into how the governor waits. We are not going into how the governor became governor of Rivers State. I don't even want to go there right now.
No, because that's
what I am looking at is there was an election, but the governor was sworn in according to what? The law. And even when he became the governor, his seat was still under contention because it was in court. The governor's existence is premised upon Nigerian constitution. The governor derives his powers as the executive from the Nigerian constitution. Let us make that clear. No. Hold on.
No.
There was an election, which I am not looking at, like I said. What I am looking at is, where does the governor derives powers to act as an executive arm of government? It is the Nigerian constitution.
No.
What exactly?
No.
It is the people.
No, first.
Go ahead.
First, what the people did was to surrender their sovereignty, that the governor should act on their behalf. And then when that sovereignty was given, the governor then hold whatever that he believes, whether the Bible, whether the Quran, and swore to the constitution. Not, it was when mandate, no, I'm coming now. It was when mandate was given. Mandate cannot, when you don't have mandate, you can't swear to the constitution.
Hold on. Abiola had mandate.
Yeah. But he didn't have.
Hold on.
Okay.
Abiola had the mandate of Nigerians.
Yes.
However, he did not act on that mandate. It was not given life. The mandate was not given life. Let's just make this thing simple. And
okay.
I like following what the law. I'm not sentimental.
No, of course.
I'm not emotional, because my job is to educate people. Now, like I said, if you say it is not the constitution that gives governors their powers as executives, I would now ask you questions. Where did he derive his powers from? And what draws the line where the governor should act and where he should stop, and where the legislator should start and where he should stop, and where the judiciary should start and where they should stop? What draws the line? Where did they get? Is it a banana republic? Like I said, the governor's emergence as the governor was challenged in court and could have gone any which way, but for the fact that the court ruled in his favor, and in the case of Labour Party, they withdrew their suits. So, what still gives the governor life? What gives the mandate of the people life? Like I told you, Abiola had mandate. What gives the people gives the governor? What gives the governor's mandate the life to act?
No, first, I quite agree that we are governed by law, and the premise of it is the constitution. But it is the people's will first that comes to force. It is when that will come, and then the governor, in representing the people, he now say, I swore to hold. No, I'm coming.
Hold by the constitution.
You are not allowing me.
Is it not? No, because we don't have much. Is it to rule by the constitution?
Yes, he rules by the constitution.
That's where we are driving to.
No, but the source of his power comes from the people.
If he is to rule by the constitution and not the sentiments and emotions of the people who gave him mandate, but by the constitution, then one would expect that he would follow the same constitution he swore by. A constitution that says a quorum must be minimum. In the case of Rivers State, 11. Constitution, not judgment in this instance.
No, but all cases are in court.
Hold on. Pending when cases or pending when judgments are vacated, they are subsisting. They have life, whether it favors you or not. That's the reality. Now, you also said, Daniel, that when I asked you a question with regards to the governor governing Rivers State based on the governor governing Rivers State with 4-man legislature, you said it goes against everything you hold dear, right? Now, if it goes against everything you hold dear, it means that there is something wrong with it. Now, if there is something wrong with it, why is he going ahead with it? Do not forget, you also made the argument that there are some judgments that cannot subsist going by the emotions and the things you presented, your sentiments on it, and you also drew your argument from the city minister when he was governor and the land case your family had. And however, there are also that judgment, there were many prayers that was granted in that judgment, and one of it was that the governor must legislate with that house. Let's say the budget is a different ballgame altogether, but the governor has gone ahead to screen commissioners, give appointments, you know, without a house that at least meets up to the quorum. 4 men have been screening commissioners. 4 men have been screening appointments. In fact, one of the constitutional infractions that the Martin Samehule-led House of Assembly accused the governor of was creating an agency in the state that does not have any constitutional backing. Do you recall that situation as well? So we'll still go ahead. You also talked about the local government elections, where the governor went ahead to hold elections. And let us look at the local government elections, shall we? Because he said everything the governor did with regards to that elections was well within the law and it was right. You recall that prior to the expiration of the tenure of the outgone chairman, there were calls for RISEC to release dates for elections. In fact, the Constitution provides that there will be dates will have to be released 3 months to the expiration of the local government council chairman, their tenure. That's a provision. It is there. It is statutory. And prior to that 3 months, calls were being made from different stakeholders, even on my show. And moving forward, the Rivers State House of Assembly also called on RISEC to release dates. There were also arguments that RISEC was not funded, and arguments in some quarters that the Rivers State budget did not include budget for RISEC to hold elections. These were reasons stakeholders and the powers that be were given. I will even use the word vested interest. We are given as to why elections could not hold. However, you recall what happened on that day in July when the tenure of the local government chairman ended. And do not forget, prior to that time, the House of Assembly, seeing that the RISEC was not coming up with a date, extended the tenure of the local government chairman by 6 months. The governor did not obey that. In fact, Justice Wale gave an order and a judgment to counter that, which the appeal court nullified, if you recall. And the Supreme Court, in their judgment, page 16 of that judgment by the Supreme Court on local government autonomy, the Supreme Court said that just like the National Assembly can extend the tenure of a president if it is untenable to hold elections, by the same powers, state houses of assembly can extend tenures of local government chairmen if it is untenable or impossible to hold elections. And the Supreme Court, in their judgment, went ahead to say, I am quoting the Supreme Court judgment because I have it, off heart. It says that if the tenure of these local government chairmen or councils are extended, it is the mandate of the people that is extended. However, if it is truncated illegally, it is the mandate of the people that is being truncated. That local government autonomy judgment by Supreme Court affirmed the actions of Martin Samehule extending the tenure of local government chairmen, seeing the unwillingness of the state government to conduct local government elections. We can understand the political undertone of the struggle for structure. However, there is constitution. In trying to gain structure, you must be seen not to break the law. This is why it still boils down to constitutional infractions. And I'm now asking questions around the local government elections. And now the governor was building, when the judgment came, he said it was a fraudulent judgment and it will not be obeyed. He said that. And he also premised his argument on the fact that that the time for local government allocation, they only had this October, and after that, the hammer of the federal government will come on them. But then there was a local government law number 5 extending the tenure. So what was the rush? That's on one hand. Rivers State government went ahead to hold elections against the court judgment that stopped that barred the INEC from releasing voter register. In this instance, you said there were 2 judgments. INEC chose to honor the judgments of the Federal High Court, and they did not release voter register to RISIEC. RISIEC went ahead by the statement of the governor, because the governor at some point went to RISIEC and stayed there and did press conference twice. And he went ahead by the order of the governor to hold elections without voter register as provided by the Constitution. Number 1. Number 2, without police. If you say police is not important, in the collation result sheet, there is a space where the police has to sign, and the police must have their copy of the result sheet, and that is why election litigations, police are always involved in it. So having taken time to lay down all these constitutional infractions as accused by the Rivers State House of Assembly, you now have your say until whenever to debunk and give your opinion on all of this.
No, first, I do not speak for the state. We are making analysis for the betterment of define the interactions and bringing knowledge to all of this.
And good governance.
One is that I still do not agree that the governor disobeyed any court order.
All right.
In disobedience, the ones you call disobedient to orders are when orders are given and they are not obeyed, and there was no room for the person to have appealed those judgments. But once an appeal is made, that person does not need to reprobate again. 2 is that whatever has happened in that elections of the local government election, I think the election was conducted in September, right? I think it was done in September. Was it September or August? I can't remember now.
Local government elections in Rivers State. October 5.
Was okay, October 5. Before October, there was a judgment from the State High Court here directing INEC to release voter register and all to RISEC. RISEC said publicly that they got register from INEC and all of that. So that remains for the court to decide.
RISEC did not say that they got that's misinformation, Daniel. Let me correct
hold
that.
on.
Go ahead. The RISEC chairman, not RISEC, he spoke and he did not obtain that information as he said, I got this voter register in 2023. He did not say INEC gave it to him. And INEC, when INEC was responding, debunked that. And INEC said that RISEC had written to them for release of voter register. And they were still in the process. You understand that? They were still in the process, and these judgments from federal high courts that barred them came. And if you look at it, what does the Electoral Act provide? The Electoral Act provides that states that the state electoral commissions must update and upload a revised and updated voter register 90 days before announcement. Underline, emphasis on before announcement of election dates. Local government elections.
No. Let's get it clear.
Go ahead.
If there are any infractions, I believe that people should go to court and address that. But elections has been conducted in Rivers State. You and I might not like it, but the truth is that election has been conducted. And
you said there was no disobedience to court judgment.
That's not disobedience.
And the Constitution was followed in that election.
No, hold on. The Federal High Court and the State High Court are of the same jurisdiction. They are of the same jurisdiction. The State High Court here gave orders that election should be held and that election should go ahead. And so if there are any other thing, let the upper courts make decisions on these issues and probably get to the Supreme Court. But for me, at this stage, I do not believe that the governor of the state had in any way disobeyed or had penchant, like the way they have stated it, for
disobedient
to court orders. No, I do not agree. No, I do not agree. No, I do not agree.
All right. How about you've spoken about the local government elections from the angle of the Constitution, from the angle of the court's judgments, yes. And let's look at it from the angle of the Constitution.
Okay.
Would you say that Constitution was followed fully?
Now there are allegations and counter allegations, or otherwise.
What does the Constitution
provide? No, of course. I think I was on this show with one of your guests where I said someone in government called me
after this show.
Yes, and they were explaining their own side of the story.
With regards to the voter register.
Yes, including, because I was wondering in my area, I didn't see where they pasted which were supposed to, and they said they did. Now, if they are alleging that they had done that, I think it remains for others who are not satisfied to go to court and challenge those processes. But if those processes are not challenged and we sit back to just say whether RISEC conducted a good election or not, I think we do not hold waters. So I think whoever that is aggrieved with what RISEC had done.
You're speaking like a politician right now.
No, because the truth is that you know me too well. You see, the truth is that I am finding it difficult to see where the governor erred in terms of disobedience of court orders. He has appealed those judgments. Whether he has locus to do that or not, he had gone ahead to appeal those judgments. And I would want to say, let us all hold on and see what the Supreme Court will say, especially regarding the presentation of the budget. The presentation of the budget will nullify every other thing.
Isn't this going to be where the issue will come up now? Because everything is now hanging on one judgment by the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court goes ahead, probably to affirm the judgment of the appeal court, the governor now will be in trouble.
No, he can't be in trouble.
Hold on, for gross misconduct. On the other hand, yes, he will. Or he will. For gross misconduct, when you look at things critically, because if the Supreme Court upholds it. However, the only escape at this point would be if the Supreme Court rules in the favor of the governor in this instance. Then Rivers State, all of us can now heave a sigh of relief and we'll be like, oh, thank God, so we can go ahead. But pending when that is done, as we are rounding up this show, Daniel, I'll ask you the final question. A question I asked you earlier. And I'm going to ask you that question again. Okay. I know you're trying to find out which question did I ask. I'm going to ask you again. Is it okay, constitutionally, for a state governor to govern a state with only, in this instance, because like I said, Disney is still part of Okojumbo faction. Now, is it okay for the governor to govern a state with only 4 members of a state house of assembly?
Has Martin lost his seat? It's a question we must ask. It's a question we should be ready to answer.
Okay.
If Martins Amehule and others have not lost their seats, then the governor has committed an impeachable offenses. But in the eyes of the law, according to the governor, because I'm trying to
in the eyes of the
scenario.
Law,
see, in the eyes of the law, for them is that I believe that that section is not
executed.
You can't do that. But they are looking at it the other way. That once you decamp, that you have automatically lose your seat. And because INEC had not held any elections, so the activities and business of governance will not stand still in the eyes of the other persons. And so every other person has a right to hold their views here until a court of competent jurisdiction has made a pronouncement. What pronouncement has made is now to hold until a Supreme Court. But remember also that the Supreme Court is not just a court that gives judgment. Sometimes the Supreme Court is a court of policy. Supreme Court also creates a law by its own judgment. He tries to correct certain things, and I made it clear here the last time I came here that even Amechi did not ask to become governor. Amechi was only asking that let there be a rerun, let him go back and contest that election under the PDP, and the Supreme Court said, no, you are the governor of Rivers State, and he became governor. So on this, I would appeal to the conscience of the judges at the Supreme Court to not allow this linger further. By this now, because other states are watching, that a governor can either be on either of the side, do away with because the legislators are seen as the true representative of the people, that can a house or can a state do away with about 27 lawmakers of a state. Whereas 1, 2, that by mere pronouncement and not following order to aid my decamping, does that mean I have decamped from a political party, or by just announcement? So there are a lot of things surrounding what the Supreme Court need to pronounce on, and every other thing in the lower courts here just die natural death. But it's difficult for me as a person who is watching both actors to say that the Martin Amehule faction is right or the governor is right. But what I need to say here is that from the from the Federal High Court to the Court of Appeal, I, Daniel Momo, recognize Martin Amehule as the Speaker of the Rivers State. But the governor and his team has a different opinion, and they are right to hold their opinion. And so because they have appealed that judgment, it is difficult for me to look at the governor in the eye and say that the governor has committed or has penchant or is one disobeying orders of court. No, I would not agree to that.
All right, Daniel. You said two things that appear to be, if I call it double speak or
no, because I am just on the sideline. No, I'm just on the sideline watching both of them.
And I respect that. However, on one hand, you recognize Martin Semehule as the authentic speaker,
because of the judgments so far
of the High Court and the Appeal Court judgment as well, affirming them. So you recognize them that they are the authentic Rivers State House of Assembly, and on the other hand, the governor is holding a view that is contrary to the judgment and contrary to the law, because you have the view that that vacation.
No. If I say contrary to law,
yes, because you said you are of the view.
I am passing a judgment.
Hold on. You said you are of the view that Section 109G is not self-executory. I mean, it is what it is. You said that. So that is what it is. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because interesting times ahead of Rivers State. It appears Rivers State to be a locus classicus in this forthcoming judgment. And while that is happening, political players, stakeholders, and vested interests are still going about with their proxy war. Fingers crossed. We'll bring you updates as the break. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. Thank you so much, viewers, for staying with us. And thank you so much, Daniel, for coming. It's always a pleasure having you, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And this is where we wrap it up. You can always follow us and connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. Transition News comes up next. Do not go away. I am Ugu Laurentia. Bye for now.
As always said, there are two sets of people, the oppressors and the oppressed, and in between are the cowards and the hypocrites. Which are you?
No matter how tough the challenge, how high the obstacles, we always overcome.
What Nigerians believe now is not about the country. Who can come and salvage us from where we are?
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.